All righty. Hey, welcome to Let's Talk Nation. I'm your man, Rod Love, and y'all know sitting to my left is none other than the general.
To the
With my
left,
far left.
to the left,
Hey, to the left. To the left is none other than the general, Attorney Greg Jackson.
Once again, it's on, Brother Love. You know how we get this thing started every week. I know we have a special guest that's in with us tonight, but I got to ask, man, how was this weekend for you this past week?
This weekend was lovely, man, but I want to hear, I'm hearing about all these activities, so I'm looking forward to hearing some of these activities from our special guest that's in the studio with us, too.
Well, man, you're talking about activities. This is not an activity, man. This is an election that's taking place, and a very important election.
You're right.
As folks know, we've been talking about this over the past 3 weeks or so, but just recently, the governor of the state of Florida suspended District 5 Commissioner Regina Hill, which left the District 5 seat without a commissioner, Brother Love. And so for tonight, we have a very special guest that's in the studio with us. He is, Brother Love, he's been around for a long time. He's not just stepped into the community, just as a candidate for District 5. This gentleman has been in a position of serving the people of the state of Florida as a former representative for the Florida House of Representatives. And so it's our pleasure tonight to have a conversation with none other than former Representative Travis McCurry.
Hey, I'm glad to be. I'm happy to be here.
All right.
I've watched some familiar faces. I was just saying earlier how I've watched this show evolve from a radio show on WOKB.
He almost had the years right, too.
He almost had the years right?
I was impressed, man. I was impressed.
I'm real about it.
But you know what? On that same note, and I appreciate my brother Greg kind of framing things up, but I remember when you was a legislative aide.
Absolutely.
Out there, where the rubber meets the road, everybody would bring problems.
Right.
And then I saw you excel to becoming a state representative.
Correct.
So that's just sort of like the lead off. And Greg, you're always talking about the segues.
Absolutely.
That's a lead off about your public service.
Yeah.
I guess Greg, there's no other way to do it than just to ask you, brother.
Yeah, let's get into it.
What is compelling you?
A life of service is the life that counts. And I'm from this community. I'm born and raised right here in Orlando. Born in Carver Shores to a single mother, single parent household. The oldest of 3 children, the oldest grandchild. But I believe that I'm 40. I turned 40 years old this year, and I believe that I got the last piece of just those stark individuals in our community. That were able to help rear me, and educate me. I went to Owen Center Elementary, and the late Reverend Jesse Ivory of Zion Hill Missionary Baptist Church was a 5th grade teacher at Owen Center. We had Principal Felton A. Johnson. These are giants in our community. My 3rd grade teacher, Johnny Mickle, who I had the fortunate pleasure of having at my press conference when I announced last Monday. And I have an award in my office from her in the 3rd grade as the most likely to succeed as leader in government.
So wait. So from the 3rd grade, you have an award that have you touted at that point. Now, 3rd grade, if y'all don't remember, 3rd grade is between 7 and 8.
Yeah.
So between 7 and 8, you are already touted as most likely to succeed.
I've been running campaigns since 1993.
Wow.
Running for student councils.
Okay.
So it's in your blood.
It's in my DNA.
That's all right.
And I tell people, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready.
You're right.
So this was not on anybody's radar a month ago for District 5.
Okay.
But again, like I said, if you stay ready, you'll be ready. And as long as you keep a clean name and a good face, and people have confidence in you, you can answer the call, when it comes. And that's exactly what I did this time. I didn't reach out to anybody, seeking this opportunity when the unfortunate news broke in District 5. But people had enough confidence in me, my work ethic, what I could bring, my knowledge of the process, my knowledge of the district, to be able to maintain some stability.
Bringing some experience,
Absolutely.
that you've worked at.
Right. And like you said, like you mentioned a few minutes ago, being a legislative aide in the legislature, what a lot of folks don't realize is, especially in the legislature, and even on the local level, a lot of times is the staff positions are considered full-time jobs, and for the elected or the member, it's considered a part-time job, and that's what allows them to do other other things, right, and have other employment. but I had I majored in political science at FAMU.
Okay.
But it's much different what you learn in the textbook versus the lived experience.
You're right. You're right.
So being able to, and the Senate district I worked in as a legislative aide for 6 years to 2 state senators, encompassed the House district that I served as a representative, which encompasses the city District 5, which I'm running for right now. So I'm very familiar with the terrain. I'm familiar with the residents. I know the issues. They know me. You can never know anybody, so that's why I'm taking advantage of these 45 days to meet as many people as I can.
You know, you just said something, and it went over my head because I forgot that you were a legislative aide on the Senate side.
Correct.
But you also was a House representative, so
Correct.
you
I served in both
understand.
chambers.
Yeah, so you understand the mechanism of companion bills and how it has to work through the process.
Absolutely. And the appropriations process.
Yes.
And the fact that even on the local level, you need matching dollars from state funding.
That's true.
So it's important to even have these relationships that I've already built during my time as a legislative aide and a member of the Florida House. I think that's just going to be an additional benefit to the people of District 5.
So once again, for those who are listening, this is Let's Talk Nation. We have a special guest on with us tonight. He is a candidate for Orlando District 5, the commission seat, Representative McCurdy. And Brother Love and I, we're going to be hitting you with some questions tonight because the people want to know a little bit more for those who don't know, and they're trying to purse through. And I think Brother Love said it best, and I think he kind of said it with tongue in cheek, but there's a parade of people that have announced that they're going to run for a seat.
Yeah.
And listen, I'm a former candidate myself, and one of the things I don't do is I didn't mention the people who was running. So I ain't gonna think you do it.
Oh,
all right. Now I might mention, but don't you do it. all right?
Absolutely.
But the first question, and these are some questions that have come from Let's Talk Nation. Let's Talk Nation, for those who don't know, we have about 350 million people that listen to us right now. That's just a joke. Don't believe that. Okay? That's the
We're gonna claim it, though.
That's the second
We're
trade
gonna claim
practice.
it.
We want more.
But listen, what specific strategies would you implement to increase community engagement, ensure the residents in District 5 feel their voices are being heard?
I think what's important. Now, I'll say this before I answer that. To your last point, I visited 2 prominent churches in our community yesterday, and the message is simple with me. I said, give me 60 seconds because I don't have much to say. And we're all going to be talking from the same playbook primarily. But what I did not enter this race to run against anybody, any person. I got in this race to run for the residents of
So the
District 5.
people, yeah.
So, there's no, I don't have to make mention of any other campaign or candidacy because I'm running for the people, not against
Well,
anybody.
it's like playing golf.
It is.
You don't
It
play
is.
against the other, well, people don't realize you're not playing against the other players, you're playing against the course.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
But I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I mean, for community engagement specific strategies, I think organizing regular town hall meetings is one of the best ways to engage with the residents. People want to feel inclusive. People want to feel heard, especially in District 5. That historically, just probably have felt not a part of the process. And people make decisions for you. People talk to you. I believe me being a millennial, I respect my elders. I don't claim to be an expert on every subject. But I do rely on the experts in certain silos, in their fields. And I want to bring that expertise, bring their ideas, and bring their thoughts to these conversations about the district as a whole. And what do people want to see? I plan to be successful on May 21st and to avoid a runoff. And after that, I plan on organizing a listening tour within my first 100 days. Because I need to go to every pocket. I need to go to Paramore. I need to go to Mercy Drive. I need to go to Clear Lake Cove. I need to go to Lake Sunset. I need to go to Malibu. I need to go to Metro West. And I want to hear what these folks have to say. And what's also important, and because of my experience with governing, I know that there were some things in District 5 who houses all of the venues. There are some things that are in queue to happen. There were some things that were in motion, some things down the pipeline that people expected to see. So it's my job as their voice, as their advocate, as their representative, as their commissioner, to see those things across the finish line.
You're right.
Now, Brother Love, what Representative McCurdy said, and I don't know if people really caught this, but he mentioned various areas in District 5, but if you catch it, District 5 is a very diverse area.
Absolutely.
It takes you from Paramore to downtown, and it takes you right up to the attraction area, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
And so having these diverse demographics, what experience do you rely upon, or can you rely upon, to be able to touch those various demographics throughout District 5?
I think it's important, my history, my background. And tonight I did something very special in preparation for this, because you will hear a lot of candidates talk about what they hope to do, or what they want to do. But I've been fortunate enough to not only serve in this process as a legislative aide, but also as an elected member. So I brought something that's very important to our community that's called receipts. So
Okay.
we talk about.
I like that move, Greg.
So tonight,
It's very rare that I'm speechless. I like it though.
I knew where he was going.
I like
Brought the receipts tonight.
So tonight we have some receipts, but I think just my experience, my history with dealing with people at every level. I think about not just people from different nationalities, people of different sets of orientation, and what's important, what's prevalent, because again, I served in this district. I know these residents. Language barriers is something that people oftentimes just overlook, even when you talk about disseminating information. So in my office, I made sure when I send out newsletters, I send it out in English, in Spanish, in Creole, so I can touch everybody. So I think that's very important.
Yeah.
Brett, before we push to the next question, because I don't know how we're gonna be able to beat that one, Greg.
Yeah,
pulling
no.
out the receipt, but this definitely gives you an opportunity to go down some of those receipts so that people know that you have a track record.
Correct. And that's what's going to be the separation in such a short window with an expedited race. So again, I'm not telling you what I hope to do, what I think I can do. I'll tell you what I've done.
Gotcha.
And judge me on that, and let the word speak for itself.
Before I go to economic development, there's something else that we talked about, and Greg and I, during a certain period of the year, and you know what period that is, that's a legislative session. We talk about appropriations process, but there's something else that is equally, if not more important than appropriation. Everybody think about the money, but you know this better than anybody else. Policy is really important.
Look, policy can set us back for decades. And the budget is passed every year. So money comes, money goes. But these laws that stick on the books, they'll outlive us. It's really what we've seen in the most recent sessions, especially the sessions from 2020 to 2022 when I served, were the culture wars, the attacks on education, attacks on women, not addressing actual issues that everyday people care about, especially in District 5, which is housing, affordable housing, property insurance, expanding Medicare. These are the types of things that everyday people that I talk to, that they care about. Nobody's talking about banning books or banning words and just creating these cultural wars. But we understood kind of what the nemesis of those were. In Tallahassee, unfortunately, with the majority, I think you see a lot of monkey see, monkey do, and a lot of borrowed legislation from other states. But I fought tirelessly. I'm proud of the work that I did in Tallahassee. I'm guilty of staging a sit-in on the House floor in good trouble in the honor of John Lewis, in response to redistricting congressional maps that took away two predominantly African American seats, one in Orange County, one in Duval County. And when you think about it, that wasn't an issue that we can come back the next session and fix, because the census happened every 10 years. So you only get one shot every decade to get this thing right. So my job was, although I knew the likelihood of me getting those maps changed were very low, I wanted to raise the awareness and raise the alarm for people at home, everyday people, because they don't understand appropriations. They don't understand amendments. They don't understand that language, but they understand protests, especially in District 5. A lot of people were birthed out of protests. A lot of things a lot of these accomplishments that we saw in District 5, that we saw in Paramore during the days of Dr. Monroe Wells. We saw these things birthed out of protests. The Wells Built Museum, you think about the people that came through there and stayed here, the Thurgood Marshalls when he was representing the Groveland Four. These things were birthed out of protest. So our people, one thing we do understand is protest. Even this young generation, they'll hashtag, they'll boycott, they'll protest, but they won't vote. So they understand protest is one thing. So my job was to, if we're going to engage more people, we got to meet them where they are.
That's true.
Well, one thing I have to say also is, I don't know how many years I've known you, but and Greg and I, we have our disagreements on this show. But one of the things that I love about the fact that we can get in a room and disagree about something and be agreeable to move forward afterwards.
That's right.
We got folk now that won't even talk to each other if they disagree.
That's
Right.
right.
So there's some real hefty issues that's taking place in District 5. And what we want to know about is economic development. How do you plan to attract businesses to District 5 or continue to attract businesses to District 5? And what are some of the type of the industries that you believe will be a good fit for District?
Well, my vision is to not necessarily have to go out and attract businesses, although we want to attract new businesses, absolutely for jobs, right? For new jobs, for good paying jobs, not just any paying job, not minimum wage, not low wage paying jobs, but livable wage paying jobs. But my focus would really be, because we have so many small businesses in District 5 that need education and need certification. And when you look at these laws that are coming from Tallahassee to ban DEI, a lot of our MBE, minority business enterprise programs they're under attack. And they're in lieu the possibility of these programs being dissolved is becoming more and more apparent. So what I know, because of my background, a lot of minority and small businesses, what they'll do is we'll start a business, we'll register it on SunBiz, and mama, we think we made it. But that's not it.
That's right.
If you don't have a certification, you're leaving too much on the table.
You're right.
And if you want to, so what I know a lot of prime contractors, for example, we have minority participation requirements at the city level, right? But the prize will only get points accounted towards that participation goal if they choose a small business that is certified. So you need to get the certifications, not only for that, because it opens you up to a whole new world of opportunities. You get notifications because you're in a new database now. So if we get people certified in District 5, one of my specific goals, like I come with plans, people. I would like to see the city of Orlando adopt an LDB program. What's that? A local developing business program, where we can make certain city contracts LDB direct, where the big guys necessarily can't bid. We're going to carve out this. And that's in response to the banning of DEI, because we got to be innovative. And one thing I did while I was a state representative, I was an advocate and a vocal proponent for what we call home rule, which allows local municipalities to make the best decisions for people at home in their localities, right? We don't always need blanket legislation for all 67 counties. What working day may not always work in Orange. So we need to allow our local elected officials. And now that I will be one after May 21st, I can take advantage of what I fought for in Tallahassee so that we can implement these kind of things on the local level.
Greg, you know what I'm hearing?
What's that?
I'm hearing Representative McCurdy talk about growing those small businesses that are already in this district.
Which is important.
Yeah.
And even to take it a step further is those small businesses that are there, to put them on a path for future success by ensuring that they're certified, so that they can work with primes, and primes will be incentivized to work with these smaller businesses also. Now let's talk a little bit about affordable housing. And on the state level, you dealt quite a bit with affordable housing, or the issues with affordable housing and the Sadowski funds and all of that stuff. But District 5, and we've seen a lot of development coming up in District 5. What are some of the things or plans or strategies that you have to continue to address the affordable housing issue? And listen, when we talk about affordable housing, you're going to be making votes not just for District 5, but for Orlando.
Absolutely.
Right.
What are some of the strategies or things that you see to help with the affordable housing issue in the city of Beautiful?
Look, there are close to 50,000 residents in the city commission District 5. And I believe what's important to just note as a community leader is we need to make it affordable for Floridians to live in Florida. We need to make it affordable for Orlandoans to live in Orlando. I want to make it affordable for people who grew up and were raised in District 5 to live and stay in District 5. So what that looks like, this problem is not just a public problem, it's not just a private problem. So that's why we need to have public and private partnership.
Okay.
And what we also need to do is sometimes you can borrow. I won't say steal. You can borrow a good idea, but we need to look for best practices. And that's what you do. That's what any leader does. Again, I don't claim to be an expert on every issue,
Right.
but I have a listening ear. I have an open door, and I'm willing to be educated.
Yeah.
You need to bring those experts. And where you see good, positive results, how can we replicate here at home to make it work for our people?
Like, hey, so you know what? When you talk about affordable housing, there's this next step that people talk about too, and that is public safety.
Correct.
Yeah.
So what are some of your thoughts? I mean, I know that the city has had a number of initiatives that are taking place. My Brother's Keeper and a number of other initiatives. What are some of your ideas that will continue to enhance public safety?
Well, I think that's good because that's a program that is run by the city and funded by the city.
Okay.
But you gotta support the people that's doing the work on the ground, and the people who have their ear to their boots on the ground that are actually dealing with folks every day. Not saying that my Brother's Keeper is a wonderful program. It started by President Obama, so it's a great program. But I'm thinking about programs and nonprofits for folks who are using their own money to
You're right.
but they have 75, 100 kids coming to their
Right.
programs.
Right.
I'm gonna go back to my receipt, but this past Friday, I was just coaching at the Cops versus Team basketball game on Friday night from 7 to 10 at the Smithson. So and this was sponsored by I See My Destiny, which is a nonprofit that's doing good work. New Image Youth Center, Shante Barton Stubbs, and
right.
Paramore in District 5. We need to collaborate with these organizations, mental health organizations. I'm happy to say, it's another receipt. I was a mental health program director for No Limit Health and Education.
Okay.
Pernell Bush.
Yeah.
These are the types of things, and these are the type of relationships that already exist with me. So when you can identify the organizations that are doing the work and help strengthen them, collaborate with them, I believe that's the first way. Because again, it goes back to outreach, and we don't need to just outreach to adults. We need to outreach to children.
And I like that you mentioned, New Image with Shante Barton Stubbs, because her dad, Bishop Stubbs,
Bishop Cassidy,
has standing tall.
Yes.
That he started to put in place to address these very issues. And as a matter of fact, when Mr. Bush was running for a Seminole County Commission,
Correct.
He came in, he sat down and talked to us, and he, has some great thoughts, some great ideas about what he wanted to do. And so this is a good receipt to have. Now here's the more pressing question. Cops versus teens. Who
Cops
won?
won.
But no, I had to ask.
But you know something else, and I'm gonna go back, and you're still a young guy, but I'm gonna go back in time. I remember when you were involved in midnight basketball.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
that was a strong prevention initiative.
Correct.
Something that I look forward to the day when we bring that back.
Yeah.
Right.
So what do you think? I mean, because I see the receipts here, but midnight basketball was one of those prevention initiatives that we saw work.
I think we just need people that are committed and dedicated and really passionate about seeing some real change, closing that gap and really building that bridge. Right? People say build it. It's so cliche, but it's really just creating opportunities for mentorship. And people, and for young men to see themselves in older and stronger men, more accomplished men.
That's true. That is true.
What you can't touch, what you don't see, you don't know. And so that's why I'm also happy we have like the UCF downtown campus. You got kids that's growing up in Paramore, probably would have never seen the college campus, right? But they know they can aspire because they can touch it. You got kids at the A school that can see a college right across the street. But even aside from collaborating, supporting these programs like I See My Destiny, No Limit Health, New Image Youth Center. The city of Orlando just extended a downtown moratorium. So when you talk about public safety, that's a ban on any new bars and nightclubs downtown because we know kind of what that leads to.
Right.
And when you can't leave or enter downtown without going through District 5.
Yeah.
So a lot of that crime, a lot of those issues, even though it may not be residents of District 5, we always take the plight. The news is not going to report where these folks are from. They're just going to report where the issues happen.
Yeah.
And so in order for us to just get a hole in the tackle, I was at city council meetings when they were passing that moratorium the first time before the extension. So you need somebody that's ready on day one. I've been saying that District 5 right now, we're in a critical state. District 5 right now is a critical moment. And this is, we're in essentially critical condition. But just because you're in critical condition does not mean that you can't survive.
Right.
And so what do you need to survive? I believe it's stability, and that's what I represent.
Nice. Okay, okay.
You know, talking about education and youth programs, I mean, you really touched on that quite a bit. But education, and you talked about young people in Paramore probably never having seen the University of Central Florida until they got the downtown campus. And what are your thoughts on, and I hate to use the vernacular programs, but man, we're seeing young people that are, and Greg and I have seen young people that have gone away and come back, and they're doing some great things.
Yeah.
Julian, for example.
Oh, yeah, Serrano.
Yeah.
Morehouse man.
Yes.
No, he's not just a Morehouse man.
He's an alpha. I know.
Yeah, look, I got to throw it in every time again, man. I got to throw it in every time.
Hey, so now Representative McCurdy gonna say what his frat is.
I'm just saying the
yeah.
Cap Apple side.
See,
To the Bucks
We're
Cap
gonna let
Apple
you.
side.
We're gonna let you do.
Let him get away with that.
It's all love.
But education,
That's right,
but
that's
education is real important, and I'm just glad to see that, you know, there's a symbol in downtown, but we still want to get these young people more exposed to what's taking place out there in the world.
Look, we Greg and Rod, we have an obligation. We have our super voters, and we're losing them every day at a higher rate than we're replacing.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
So we
Yeah.
have an obligation to ourselves, especially in District 5, because it's so sensitive right now. The demographics are changing so rapidly with the population and growth. And the affordable housing issue,
Yeah.
the demographics are changing so much. We actually are in a place where we're in jeopardy of not having anybody that looks like us represent District 5. So I think we have an obligation to the next generation to engage youth civic engagement programs to teach them about the process early. And not just try to get them when they're 18.
Right.
We need to teach them about the importance of being involved in this process. And a lot of people in my generation that look like me, they ask me questions about being a political individual. Well, why don't we see the things that we want to see?
Right.
So what I ask them in return is, have you ever volunteered on a campaign? Have you ever donated to a campaign? Have you ever not on an endorsement? You can't make any phone calls? No. I said, well, you know what? The people whose agenda is ahead of you that you feel, they do those things.
That's right.
And
That's right.
I kind of liken it to, I give this analogy. I said, have you ever gone to the ATM, put your card in, and tried to withdraw something when you know good and well you ain't depositing it? So you can't come to an
Yeah.
elected official
Yeah.
and it's with these expectations when you have not deposited. And it's not just financial.
Right. It's the
Put
time.
some work. Yeah,
You got to get on
That's
their
right.
radar.
That's right. That's
You got to
right.
get on their radar.
that's the best way I heard it. I've
like
heard it.
that.
Yeah,
I like that.
articulate it.
But now let me ask this question, and I'm gonna throw a little bit of a curveball at you. District 5. How important is it to you that the young men in that community sees an individual who's come from that community serving them in the capacity of a county commissioner?
I grew up in Mount Pleasant Missionary Baptist Church.
Mhm.
I saw Al Red.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
I grew up in Mount Pleasant Baptist Church. I saw Ernest Page.
Mm.
These are people names that I heard, but I saw,
Right.
and I knew that I could
Right.
touch.
Yeah.
And they were they probably were my age at the time that I was a young man, but I remember seeing and aspiring to be like them. Understanding and my story, I was born and raised in Carver Shores, moved to Pine Hills. I went to the Southwest Boys and Girls Club on Raleigh Street.
Yeah.
I went to Orange Center Elementary. I walked to the barbershop. I walked to Jay Henry's barbershop.
Yeah.
So I called the city, but look, I went to the fair. I'm from here, so I'm speaking the same language, and I'm the proof and the promise that good things can come out of this district, and we don't have to find transient because we make good things. We have good stuff right here.
Yeah.
And so if people invest in you, and that's why I take it back to those folks, those individuals who were instrumental to me as early as elementary. I knew I wanted to be a Greek because I saw my teachers with their mugs on the table. So I knew but in order to do that, I need to go to college.
That's right.
Because I can't go get it from anywhere else,
That's
right? But I think it's very important And I think that is something that's a privilege to me, because even now, after not being in office for the past 2 years, I can go in the Winn-Dixie store and a grandmother would be with a grandchild and say, "That's McCurdy," and want to take a picture with you. But I remember seeing, hearing these names, and now today that I can call on these people and they have confidence in me to serve.
That's
and
credit
lead
with the
them.
work that you've done.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
And it's a credit to them. So it's my obligation to do it for to pay it forward.
But to have those young guys see somebody that came from the community, and I guess another classic example, and I'm not certain, Attorney Greg Francis
Yeah,
grew up in, was it
Ivy Lane.
Ivy? And you look at this guy is in the record books for the historical.
largest settlement.
Yes.
yeah.
So it's important for young people to see that they can do it too.
That's right. Well, listen, once again, Let's Talk Nation, we have in the studio with us this evening Representative Travis McCurdy. He is a candidate for Orlando Commission District 5. We're having a candid conversation with him to giving him an opportunity to speak about his role, his plans, his receipts of what he's done and what he intends to do once he has the opportunity to be elected as the next District 5 commissioner. So, Brother Love, what's the next question that we have for Representative McCurdy?
Infrastructure,
Oh,
which is a big issue. What are some of your thoughts about infrastructure in District 5?
I believe that we need to, we can always look for ways to enhance and improve the infrastructure. And that's important. Why? Because it goes back to economic development and the types of business that we're able to attract. People want to come where they know they're going to have the best broadband. And I remember working as a legislative aide and being playing a key role in the city of Apopka, helping them convert from septic to sewer, getting money for that.
Yeah, major issue.
People hotels wanted to come, restaurants wouldn't come because it was that burden, that cost burden. So when you talk about infrastructure, there are always ways to improve. We look at the federal funding for the digital divide, which was going to be huge in District 5. So I look forward to working with our Congressman Matt Frost, to draw some of those dollars down. But again, it goes back to relationships. We know each other. We can work together. And something that I wanted to make mention of earlier is this is a very different role than Tallahassee. Although I do have government experience, it was very difficult in the minority to get anything done, policy, appropriations. But this is a more collegiate body. And on the local level, you can see results. You can see results instantaneously. You can see a road paved. You can see senior housing go.
You're right.
You can see these things; they're tangible, and you don't have to wait and pray that a veto pen won't cut your stuff.
But you know what? When we talk about infrastructure, something else that I know you're familiar with, and that is CRAs.
Oh yeah.
And Greg, I know that's your expertise, but a lot of people don't know about what CRAs are formed to do and how it ties into the fact that it was state created through the legislature. And I don't know how the city.
Well, and actually, I think it was maybe the election cycle before you came through. CRAs were pretty much on the chopping block,
Right.
because of concerns with how monies and different things like that were being spent. As a city commissioner, with a CRA within the City Beautiful, what are some of your initiatives, or what are some of the things that you would like to see done as it relates to community redevelopment agencies within District 5?
Again, that goes back to the 100-day listening tour. I'm not here to talk to people. I'm not here to make all the decisions for you. I really want people to feel included in this process. So it's my job to go to the folk, to go to the people, go to the residents, to go to the constituents, get their input. I'm your mouthpiece. You have a job. You can't go to City Hall every day. And that's what I told people when I was in town. It's my job to speak for you.
Now, let me ask this question. And Brother Love, tell me if I'm a little bit off on this. But one of the biggest challenges, especially in the African American community, is getting people to come out and to even have their voices heard. The listening tour, 100 days, first 100 days having the listening tour. how are you going to engage these folks to come out to have their voice? Because that is a huge.
Yeah.
Because think about it. Every time we go to a meeting, we always talking about, well, you ain't the ones we talking to, or whatever the case. What's that strategy going to look like to get those people into those seats?
You got me. That's the receipt I didn't. That's the receipt I didn't bring, but I do have it. So I'll be happy. So when I first ran in 2019.
Okay.
That was the time that we were doing the 2020 census. We were gathering census data. And it was the height of COVID, right? So I got the bright idea. I got a bus, a school bus. I partnered with the group Equal Ground. We had tablets and we did a tour on a bus. I had 4 Rivers following me with food. So I was going to, and I was running for District 46, so I would stay at a location for 46 minutes.
Right.
I was in Carver Shores for 46 minutes. I'll go to the Smith Center, and this is all in one day. About 8 neighborhoods in one day, and we had to go to them.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about me being a millennial.
Okay.
I understand. You know, you expect you're gonna get the same usual suspects if you try to have a meeting at the Northwest.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah, you're right.
You know?
You're right.
That's right.
So you got to be creative. You got to be serious about it. So that means going to HOA meetings. I might have to go to Bible study. If the pastor give me 15 minutes before Bible study,
You're right.
you got to go where they are. I'm not here to create the crowd. I want to go where the crowd is.
You're right.
like that.
Hey, Rep, we have Doc Polite. Doc Polite, are you there?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Doc Polite, are you there?
Yep. I'm here.
I'm here.
I'm calling in.
Doc.
Calling in.
Okay.
Awesome.
Doc,
Can
we
you
got you on speaker. Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. I want to congratulate Mr. McCurdy on everything he's done for the community. But he and I both know as native Orlandoans that historically the leadership in Orlando has marginalized District 5. What are we going to do about catching District 5 up to other areas of the city? Because we're probably about 20 years behind development in that area. It's been intentional, as far as I'm concerned. Like you know things and you see things. How do we move forward and help those people over there? Because it's not just the kids. It's not the dudes over there. They have no opportunity. We got to stop marginalizing them and say, hey, we took away opportunity from them. Let's go restore it and then move forward.
Rep, that's a good question.
Yeah, well, I mean, Dr. Polite is good to see. I haven't seen you in a long time, my friend. But these problems they weren't created overnight. I don't think they'll be solved overnight. But I think having somebody that has a vision to go forward, to close that gap and to right some of those wrongs. And so that's what I talk about, not identifying small businesses outside of District 5 to grow District 5, but growing businesses that already exist in District 5, and not just for the business owners, but so they can employ some of those people that's on the side, you know, that don't have jobs. So we have to, that's what we need to do, is look for ways that we can, and again, that goes back to getting these people certified. There is so much work with these government agencies, with the county, with the city, with Orange County Public Schools. And these people, they do the work every day. Our folks we got 1,000 landscaping businesses out here, janitorial companies, construction builders. They can't get any work because they don't have the correct documentation, the correct certification. These certifications don't cost you a dime. They're free to get certified. So it's an educational component. So shame on us as leaders for not disseminating the information to the masses as we should, right? But it's really an educational component if you're serious about it. I want District 5 to thrive. And that's everybody. I don't care if you've been in District 5 for 50 years or 5 years. I want District 5 as a whole to thrive. So I think economic development is it's not a simple thing. And again, I rely on the experts, Dr. Polite, and I know that you're one of them. So again, that's why it's important to have somebody that's willing to listen, that's not going to shut the door on you and not going to claim or try to walk around like I'm the end all and know all to all of these issues. So I think my history, my track record has shown that Jabari is somebody we can talk to. You don't have to call me by no title. You call my phone, I'm gonna pick it up and I'm gonna listen.
You know, I see with you and Maxwell Cross a change. We now have millennials leading the charge here. So we have an opportunity to change the narrative and change the process in which we do politics as usual. So I hope you have success. I'm rooting for whoever can restore that community to what it was when I was a boy. We had movie theaters, bowling alleys, shops, restaurants, all of that right there on Paramore and Church Street. Literally, I walked. My dad lived on one end and I lived on the other end. It was never unsafe for kids. So to go back to that, we need all hands on deck. I still tell people wherever I go, I'm from Paramore.
Well, Dr. Polite, when you look at in Paramore, you look at the South Street and Division corridor, right?
Right.
If you don't know your history and you think Division is just a name that they selected because it fit on the marquee, then you'll understand that this was something that has been concocted for decades, right? It's to take over Paramore and just to keep going west, pushing people out, buying up the property and pushing us out. So what I would really like to do on May 22nd, or I don't know when they'll swear me in because I'm going to win, but this is what I would like to do is hit the pause button on any projects that's coming through District 5. I think I've been doing a disservice to myself and to the people that I represent to just allow things to continue without educating me first. How can I call myself a leader if I'm not abreast of all the things that are proposed to come down the pipeline for District 5? And then it's my job to go out to the residents and bring representatives from the city with me, from whatever department that these are going to touch, so they can explain what's going down, what's coming down, and we can respond to that collectively as a community.
Doc, great question, man.
Good Godspeed to you, and I'm rooting for you. I think you are absolutely the most qualified and intellectual person in this race. I say that easily with no hesitation. So we're praying for you. We stand with you, and if anything I can do, reach out to me.
Thank you so much, sir. Good to see you.
Appreciate you, Doc.
All right.
So, Dr. Polite has mentioned something that's very important. And, myself, and I'm not going to speak for Brother Love, but I think you'll echo the same thing. We're not from Orlando. And our education about Orlando, the pride of these communities, come from individuals such as Dr. Polite and yourself. And so I appreciate everything that I've learned about Orlando and everything that I've learned about this community from folks like Dr. Polite, and from folks such as yourself being from this community. With that said, you got a small community that is just north of Orlando, Eatonville, Florida, who every single day is fighting for its identity, its cultural identity, and different things like that. And Orlando has the same type of cultural identity and background. How do you use that, the intellectual or the institutional knowledge that you have about the culture of Orlando, to continue to pass that down to the younger generations, not just the millennials now, we're talking about the Gen Zers now. How do you use what you have to continue to pass that rich history of Orlando down to the next generation of leaders?
I think you have, once you let people know where they come from, and a lot of our history is just not told. And then you see, even here in the state of Florida, there are efforts to erase their history or rewrite their history. So it's important that we have places like the Wells Whitney Museum that has documented and archived so much of the rich history in the Paramore area, in the District 5 corridor, period. You think about Jones High School.
Yeah.
There's no other school
Yeah.
near us.
Right.
I'm not even gonna tell you, there's no other school near us that has this type of camaraderie, for just multi-generational, right? So when you talk about these institutions, our places of worship, Mount Pleasant, I told you I'm a member of Mount Pleasant. Mount Pleasant was first built in Paramore. And it was the first known church built for African Americans in the city of Orlando. And that building still stands to today.
Wow.
And these were built by the hands of Black people. You talk about Dr. Monroe Wells, who worked at the Dr. Phillips Hospital, was the only doctor that could deliver Black babies. When they hear these types of stories and not just go to the Monroe to eat good chicken, but understand this restaurant is named after this man,
Right.
who was the only Black doctor who was delivering Black babies.
Yeah.
So when you understand that richness it should make you sit up a little stronger.
Listen, I didn't understand, just to go along the same lines, I didn't understand the rich history of even Tinker Field.
Oh yeah, and Dr. Martin Luther King.
You know, and
The
these are
baseball,
things,
absolutely.
yeah. I mean, these are things that, you know, like I said, folks such as Dr. Light and yourself, you continue to educate newcomers to communities such as Brother Love and I about the rich history of this city.
Right.
And you know, my fear, because my daughter is an Orlandian, and like myself and my wife, we're Floridians, but we're not Orlandians,
Right.
and she doesn't know
Right.
the rich history of the city, and I have to tell her things that I'm learning from other people. So I have a vested interest because hopefully one day I'll be a granddad
Right.
of kids that are born in this community also, and I want them to be proud of where they're from because, Brother Love, to tell you, I shout out Tallahassee everywhere I go.
He
And
does.
listen, I shout out Tallahassee so much. I got a guy from Orlando say he wanted to be from Tallahassee. You better get him. You better get him because he said he wanted to be from Tallahassee. But it's because of the history, the richness of the history that I have from where I'm from.
Right.
And I want my daughter and hopefully my grandchildren one day to have that same pride of being from here. And I tell my daughter, because she always said, I want to be, no, listen, you're from Orlando. Be proud of where you're from. Because I'm certainly proud of where I'm from.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, think about it like this too. A lot of our history over the generations has been passed down by word of mouth, verbally, right?
Yeah.
So when you talk about murals are nice, murals are good,
Mm-hmm.
but you actually need people that know the history,
That's true.
that can share.
That's
Right.
true.
And I'm blessed, I'm fortunate. There's nothing special about me. It's just I'm a lover of history, and I wanted to know where whose shoulders I stand on. I'm happy to have the support of the family of the late Commissioner Nat Ford, who was the first not the first commissioner of color, the first commissioner for City District 5.
Wow.
So
Yes.
these kind of things, but to know that, Nat Ford, there was a school named after him in Paramount that was open for 20 years to educate black and brown students, right? But just to have, to know where you come from, but it's also important not to just have somebody that's going to sign off on statues, on murals, and let's be honest, people don't read like they used to, right?
Right.
So if you're not using social media, if you're not being able to tell these stories or highlighting some of the things that people that came from here, you're doing a disservice.
Brett, let me say this to you because Greg and I hear this all the time. What people want, what we're hearing, is people want somebody on the dais that's going to be a voice for them. And I think that is what we're hearing from you. When I keep hearing you talk about the listening tour, everybody wants to at least know that what is important to them is being addressed.
Correct.
And so these are some of the things, man, and I think you are saying it loud and clear, especially when you come in here and pull out all the receipts. But I think you're saying it loud and clear that you want to hear what's taking place, what people's care and concerns are. And from the dais is where you make your decisions for the people.
I mean, don't make it hard.
Right.
In any relationship, people want to be heard.
That's it.
And this is a relationship. I'm in a relationship with District 5. I'm in love with you, District 5. So I hear you.
And I gotta throw this plug because Greg usually throw this at me. Even though politically I can have philosophical differences, but let me tell you, and we talk about this all the time. My father-in-law, who's Pastor Richard King, always is having this conversation. Man, we got to make decisions that's going to be best for our families when you go in that ballot booth. And for you to come here with receipts and for you to talk about appropriation, for you to talk about policy, for you to talk about these are the conversations, and that's why we have this show that people need to hear.
Well, look, I got a saying for everything, right? So I tell people, I think too many people of color, we vote with our heart and not our head. We vote because we like somebody,
Right.
or because they're part of our organization, or because they went to this high school. But we need to start choosing the person that we know is effective, that can do the job. And we don't have to hate each other. We don't have to dislike each other.
You're right.
I tell people too, no matter what the outcome of this race, I'm gonna stay above the fray because this is home for me. I'm not just a candidate. I was a resident of District 5 before I was a candidate for District 5. So I still have to live here. My 6-year-old daughter, she's gonna grow up here. And the McCurdy name, we've done a good job. I've carried my weight, and I don't want to do anything to embarrass her, myself, or the residents of District 5.
Well, man, that's why the invitation was extended to you. man, we like the fact that you bring in receipts and talk about what it is that you've done. One of the things that really troubles me is when we don't go back and look at past performance.
Right.
We'll score everything else out, but we won't score past performance. And I mean, you know, what you're talking about here today, and Greg can get into CRAs, infrastructure, and things of that nature, but we talk about social service items, but we also have to equally talk about economic development. How do you make commerce happen?
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
and we've heard from you. We're looking forward to some great things.
Hey, man, I'm looking forward to serving.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm looking forward to serving.
That election is when?
May 21st.
Yeah.
And please, if we come out, they're not counting on us to come out in District 5. We know we have the lowest voter turnout in the House district, which District 5 sits in for the 2026. The House District 41 was the lowest turnout in the country.
So what we talking, 12, 15%?
Somewhere
Yeah.
around. But that's why
Yeah.
it was important for me to go out
Mm-hmm.
with those tablets and try to capture those people.
Yeah.
And another thing that aids to that is because of the affordability issue. And there's so many transients, there's so many people who rent and don't own. So they constantly moving.
That's right.
They're constantly moving. So that's one of those issues. But it all goes together, all of those factors. And that's why we see the demographics shifting in District 5. So I want to protect, when we talk about sharing the history with your daughter, with my daughter, with our children and our children's children, I think it's important that we have somebody that not only understands that history, knows it, but can protect it and can sustain it and can build upon it. If we lose this seat, it stops there.
Yeah.
You know, so I want to make some history. You know, I want to remember the past, but also I want to make some history, some good things for the future.
Two things that
Yeah.
stick out, and I want you to address these. I know we're going to be running out of time here. One is the listening tour, but something else critically important that you said is you want to be able to hit the pause button to be able to review what's taking place.
You got to. You have to. I mean, I'm not coming as a rubber stamp. I know that the news is framing this as an interim commission, term, but I take this job very seriously. Everything that I approach it with all the respect and seriousness that it deserves. So I'm looking to serve as a commission.
Right.
I'm looking to serve, and right now, we know how critical it is in District 5 and the things that are happening. But right now, guess what? District 5 is going to go almost 50 days without any representation.
That's true.
Right.
That's true.
So when you get in there, you're already behind.
Yeah.
So you talk about, having somebody that's ready on day one, literally, so we can say, hold up, I need to know what's going on
Right.
in this district that I just took the
Man,
helm on.
I mean, I hate to say a great point, but yeah, you're right. I mean, there are literally two commission meetings that they're gonna miss without having a representation. That's, golly, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
So somebody's gonna have to be able to come in and assess,
Absolutely.
wow,
Hit the ground running.
Wow.
Absolutely.
yeah. I didn't even think about it that way.
It's not a honeymoon period.
Yeah, yeah,
It's telling you to work.
wow.
Yeah. But I still love you. Just no honeymoon.
So Greg, I think, man, we covered a lot of terrain, and one of the things I think we need to kind of leave this on the high note is, Rep, we talked about economic development, we talked about public safety. What are some of the things that we talked about that we haven't addressed that you wanted to address?
Well, I think when you talk about transportation, we see the Sunrail, we see the addition of the Bright Line that's happened here. I would like to enhance bus service. A lot of people still take public transportation,
Yeah.
still take the bus to work. And if you live in paycheck to paycheck, everybody don't have a car.
Yeah.
I used to have a car that broke down on me every now and then. So enhancing these bus services, increasing the frequency, the coverage and reliability of bus services, it's low hanging fruit.
Rep, let me ask you this, because I just thought about this. Wasn't there a point in time where the state was going to transfer the expense of the train to local municipalities?
Correct.
Give us an update on that.
Correct. Well, that's another incentive for home rule.
Okay.
That's another
Right,
incentive for
right.
home rule, because you come down with they have legislation with no fiscal support to local municipalities, and you putting a burden on these taxpayers. I know the transportation tax with the county was just pulled last week. but you talk about these issues that need funding,
Mhm.
and you want to mandate things without any financial support. So I think it's important to have home rule in play, because again, that's where you can rely on your public-private partnerships.
You've been doing your homework.
I'm a student of, I'm just a student of the game.
Stay prepared.
Stay ready, you gotta get ready.
Hey, Greg, I think that says it all.
Well, listen, for those who've listened to tonight's show, once again, we've had in the studio with us a special guest, Travis McCurdy, Representative McCurdy, who is a candidate for Orlando City Commission District 5 seat. The election is going to be coming up in the next, within the next 45 days. The date of the election, once again?
Date is May 21st.
Is that going to be
Early voting.
Yeah, there we go. There we go.
When I was at the meeting last week, I was so happy to hear it, because it would just been detrimental to have one day of voting
Yeah.
during the
Yeah.
week on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
And we talk about what, we already have low turnout, so I'm happy that we will have an early voting period the week of May 13th.
Okay. All right.
And I'll tell you what, I gotta say it, I'm real comfortable with the individual that's over there that's running the elections office right now. And I'm talking about none other than Mr. Glenn Gelzine, doing a great job. Rep, man, thank you for coming to Let's Talk Nation. You know you're always welcome here. You don't even have to bring your receipts every time you come, but they're good to have. They're good to
I
have.
just wanted y'all to know I ain't new to this.
Hey, and you know what, man? You laid everything out.
Yeah.
We look forward to having more conversation. Don't
Absolutely.
forget about us after May 21st.
Hey man, they call me the honorable right now,
Well,
and I'm here. Title ain't gonna change me, man. I still got the same number. Title won't change me.
Look forward to having you back. too.
Likewise.
Hey, Greg, I hate to do this to you because I always do it to you.
Yeah.
But we got a special guest here. I should be doing. No, I'm not going to tell him. He,
Yeah.
you know,
you can't do guests like
I can't do guests
Ooh,
like that. But you know what, Rep, we appreciate you being here. You definitely provided a education to folks to have to make some decisions on March 21st.
May 21st.
May 21st. I'm saying, and also there'll be early voting. We don't
May
know.
13th.
May 13th.
And-
Well, you got
and-
those dates
And
down.
that's only at the supervisor of elections office. There'll be no early voting sites
Okay.
outside of the SOE office.
So we need to remember that too, Brother Love, so that we can let people know as when early voting starts,
As we
so
lead
there's
up to it.
one location that they can go to.
Correct.
Absolutely. Hey, the general, you don't have to go home.
But you got to get out of here.
Hey, we appreciate you, Rep. Thank you.
My
Appreciate it,
pleasure.
man.